UFC Fight Night Cannonier versus Imavov is coming up next weekend, and today, guys, I'm going to be breaking down the entire card from start to finish with timestamps if you'd like to skip to any part of the video. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with many YouTube channels, and welcome back, everybody, to another full card breakdown and prediction video. Guys, like I just said, this is where we go through every single fight. I'm going to be giving my prediction. I'm going to be breaking down the fight. I'm going to be talking about who I want to win, and we're going to be taking a look at the betting side of things for each and every fight. I am very excited for this. We're finally in June. I know that we already had the first card, but we are kicking off a huge streak of weeks for months, man, with non-stop UFC. I'm hyped, man. This is just the beginning of it. Let's get into this card for today. Let's start off with the first fight with, honestly, a little bit of a stinker. We have Andrea Lee taking on Montana De La Rosa. So you have Andrea Lee, guys, who is honestly, both of these girls are your typical WMMA fighters. Nothing too special about them, but Andrea Lee has a little bit better wrestling than you would see. I would say Andrea Lee, although she is 13-9, I understand that. I would say she is a little bit better. That's saying something. If your typical fighter in this division, you have Montana De La Rosa, who is a grappler with pretty good BJJ. Although I will say her striking is improving, but it's still like, man, it's still nothing special. Both these girls 13-9, 12-9. It makes sense. Their record speaks for themselves. They aren't necessarily that good. Montana De La Rosa having 3 losses in a row, but I will say, besides maybe JJ Aldrich, she has been put through the ringer a little bit with Maycee Barber and Tatiana Suarez. The Maycee Barber loss is aging well for a lot of fighters. You have Andrea Lee, more of the same kind of deal. And I will say she's had some competitive fights, okay? Viviana Rougeau, Maycee Barber, Natalia Silva, Miranda Maverick, and everybody in the world thinks that she won this Maycee Barber fight. I actually don't remember who I gave this fight to. I think I gave it to Andrea Lee, but it was probably close enough where I don't really care, to be honest with you. So at least Andrea Lee, in her last fight against Miranda Maverick, she had her moments. She looked a little bit better, but Montana De La Rosa has been pretty consistent in what we've seen her. Both of these girls aren't really that good. Even when it comes to the grappling, I feel like Montana De La Rosa will definitely have the BJJ advantage, but Andrea Lee will have the wrestling advantage. Andrea Lee could absolutely get submitted. This is a tough fight, guys. This could go either way. It's a pretty low-level fight, and I'm going to lean ever so slightly towards... I can't believe it, man. I'm picking Andrea Lee. I can't believe it, but I don't know, man. I'm just not feeling too good about Andrea Lee. But I have to pick her. I'm honestly not impressed by either fight at all, and that fight's going to go either way, and it's probably... I don't even want to say it's safe to do 1.5 rounds, but anyways, let's take a look at what the betting side of things have to say. So you can see Montana De La Rosa sitting at... It's almost even odds. It's almost a pick'em fight, and that's kind of where I'm sitting with it as well as of right now. And guys, by the way, go check out Odds Jam. Great opportunity in the description down below. We're going to talk about it a little bit later. But anyways, yeah, this is a pick'em fight, guys. I can see it going either way, but at the end of the day, for the video, I have to make a prediction. I'm going to be picking Andrea Lee. Let's keep going up the card, though. The next fight on the card is Daniel Marcos versus John Castaneda. Two guys that we have kind of seen for a little while now, and Daniel Marcos, honestly, man, I've been pretty impressed but from what I've seen. Although, Daniel Marcos, okay, I'll talk about Daniel Marcos for a second. He's a versatile fighter with great movement, combinations, and the defense at times can be lacking. This is what the problem is. Sometimes Daniel Marcos can get hit a little bit too much, and the day is definitely going to be coming where Daniel Marcos gets cracked, okay? He's not useless on the ground, but he's shown the ability to get up. And on the other hand, we have John Castaneda, who is a powerful and technical striker with, just like I said with Daniel Marcos, he also has pretty good versatility. He has cardio. Two pretty well-rounded fighters, but I will say Daniel Marcos is a little bit more of a kickboxer. They're both really good, man. They're both really good. Although I will say, I question John Castaneda's recent records because, of course, he's looked good, but how much do you really want to take into consideration these opponents besides? And with the Daniel Santos fight, that's the one that he lost, right? Daniel Marcos, on the other hand, has been really impressive, to be honest with you, from the fights that we've seen so far. And I will say, with the Aori Kiwi Lang, excuse me, guys, sorry, he was on his way to winning this fight. He was looking crisp. It's a really good fight, actually. Very good fight. And this is the problem with this card because this is one of those where I can see myself betting very little on it because there's a lot of close fights. There's a lot of fights that I will definitely not be confident in. I would love to know if you guys think differently down below. But for this fight, man, I like the momentum that Daniel Marcos has been on. He was looking good in his last fight. He was looking extremely crisp compared to what we've seen him. And he was on his way to winning a decision in his last fight. And he seems to be improving more and more. I will say, though, that the day's coming where Daniel Marcos gets cracked. The day's coming where Daniel Marcos is going to need to improve that defense. I'm not saying he has crap defense, okay? I'm not saying that, but he just gets hit too much in exchanges for my liking personally. So I still am going to pick Daniel Marcos. I think he's going to have a little bit of a technical advantage over here, and I'm interested to see where the odds are. For who I hope wins this fight, guys, honestly, I'm on Daniel Marcos. I like what I've seen so far from him. And again, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about with this card, because you have another fight that is basically a pick'em. How are we supposed to bet on this card, guys? There are so many close fights on here, and as we go through, and I get a lot of comments, to be honest with you. I get a lot of comments about people, oh my god, just pick a fight. I'm not confident in these fights, man. This is the top talent in the entirety of the UFC, in the entirety of the sport of MMA. How are we supposed to be confident in some of these fights, man? Like, that's a great fight. I'm going to sit there. I'm going to enjoy the violence. Now, guys, let's get into the next fight. I am very, very excited for this fight. We have Charles Radtke taking on Carlos Prates. Now, this is a banger of a fight. Honestly, out of the entire card, this is one of the fights that I'm looking forward to most. Honestly, because I am so excited to see the Nightmare back in the octagon. I'll start with him, okay? He is a very, very dangerous and powerful striker with very versatile kicks, and he uses a ton of pressure. What I do like about him, he uses his front leg like it's a jab. It's very unique. You don't see it too often. I just find myself fascinated whenever I watch him. Who uses their front leg as a jab? That's literally what it's like. That's the only way I can describe it to him. But anyways, I've been watching this guy now, Faye. He's 18-6. He has insanely improved his game. Every single time that I see him, I feel like he looks better. He came into the UFC with the Contender Series, looked amazing against Mitch Ramirez, looked absolutely amazing. Now, only issue, Trevin Giles. Here's the issue. He was getting pieced up until he got a knockout in the second. In saying that, though, he did set it up very well, but it wasn't like it's this like big random lucky shot. He set it up. The shot was great, but he had to step up in competition here, and it wasn't going so well. It wasn't a fluke knockout, but he was getting pieced up in this fight. I think that's very important to note. So how far is Carlos Prates going to go into the octagon? That I have questions about, but I find his fight style fascinating, and I can't wait to see where he goes. He's taking on Charles Radtke, who's a grappler with very dangerous submissions. He has subpar striking. He can get hit on the feet, but the only problem with Charles Radtke is he does have really dangerous submissions, but at times you will find him going, when the commentators like Daniel Cormier likes to say this a lot, where you should always be going for position over submission. You don't want to get that submission or try to go for that submission and then lose your position. Charles Radtke does the opposite of that. If he finds a submission or if he sees one, he's going to go for it. And a lot of times that ends up getting into trouble, but it's also found him success. So he is not necessarily the safest ground fighter. That's what I'm trying to get out over here. So both guys are looking great. Charles Radtke still seems to be in the prime of his career. Both guys are in a really, really nice win streak. They've both looked good, really good so far. I am going to pick Carlos Prates in this bout. I really, really like what I've seen from him striking, and this Trevin Giles performance seemed to be a little bit of a one-off performance, but even then, he showed that he can face adversity, and he can overcome it, man. I don't know how far he's going to go, but I think he's going to get past Charles Radtke in this bout, and if it hasn't shown, guys, and I know I was just glazing Carlos Prates here, but I promise you I'm being completely unbiased in these bouts. Okay, let's take a look at the betting side of things. I do want Carlos Prates to win. That's what I was getting at. Okay, we're very interesting. Again, another close fight. Excuse me, guys. I'm still getting used to these buttons over here. Another close fight. You have Charles Radtke sitting at around a plus 150, plus 170 underdog, and Carlos Prates almost getting towards a 2-1 favorite. It's very, very tough to pick these fights on the card, man. It is a very, very exciting time to be a fight fan in June, dude. Let's keep going up the card over to the next fight. And another fight that, oh, sorry about that, guys. Another fight that I am very, very excited for. We have Thiago Moises taking on Ludovit Klein. Now, Thiago Moises, I have always said this when breaking down Thiago Moises. He is better than his 18-7 record. He has been through the killers of the division. Just look at some of his losses and wins that he's had over here just in his last 5. He has fought consistently throughout his career. Very, very tough guys. He is an extremely complete fighter. No matter what it is in MMA, he can hang in there. Thiago Moises is a really, really great fighter. And then you have Ludovit Klein, who is a versatile striker with very strong head kicks and combinations in general. Like, he's a pretty good striker. He can strike you pretty much anywhere in the body. He'll attack your legs. He'll attack your body. And he does a pretty good job doing so. And he has shown to have good takedown defense when it matters. And this is where it's very interesting, because obviously Thiago Moises is going to be able to explore that ground option with Ludovit Klein. But Ludovit Klein does have okay takedown defense, or he has pretty good takedown defense, man. Both guys have had nice wins. Ludovit Klein has been a little bit more on a win streak, I will say, but he hasn't fought nearly the level of competition that Thiago Moises has fought, in my opinion. Besides maybe the Ignacio Bahamondes win, that looked very good just 9 months ago, and Thiago Moises is coming off of a Mitch Ramirez KO with leg kicks. This was a fantastic performance, and this was just 2 months ago. He was patient, he was accurate, he was crisp, and he, as always, showed strengths in all aspects of martial arts. And honestly, in the third, knocked him down leg kicks, looked super, super good doing so. And even against Benoit Saint-Denis. Guys, who hangs with Benoit Saint-Denis the way that Thiago Moises was? Unfortunately, he was just in survival mode. He did his best. He landed some shots, but eventually he did break down. And that loss ended up aging well. Before that, 2 nice wins over Christos Giagos and Melquizel Costa. I think the Melquizel Costa win is a very, very good win to have. So guys, I am going to be picking Thiago Moises in this fight. I think he'll have the better options in this fight. I think that he can hang with Ludovit Klein in the striking. Like I said, Thiago Moises, you can put him against anybody at their strengths, and I believe that he can hang with them. For who I hope wins, guys, honestly, I don't have too much of a stock in either guy. I don't really want to cheer for either fighter. Not that I don't want to, it's just I don't find myself cheering, but I really respect the grind that Thiago Moises has been on, man. So I think I'm going to end up cheering for him. Now, again, looking at the odds, you have a very, very close fight. Almost a pick 'em. Almost a pick 'em. I can't believe it. Like, if you guys watch any YouTuber and they are very confident in the fights that they're picking this time around and very confident in their bets, I think that's crazy. This is one of the best cards for, like, the event of mixed martial arts. If you want to see 2 people clash, this is one of the greatest cards they have made in a very long time. I can't wait for it, dude. I can't wait for it. The betting makes sense, and I would imagine we're going to see more of these pick'em fights as we go throughout this card. Let's keep going up the card, though, over to the next fight, guys. We have a Brad Katona, the return of Brad Katona, and he's taking on Jesse Butler. Now, I'm interested in where Brad Katona kind of fits in this division because he is, honestly, you can describe him as like a very tough kickboxer who just won't give up, has the heart of a champion. He has recently been breaking into the UFC. He fought Cody Gibson. The fight was an absolute war with an incredible showing. Against Garrett Armfield, he had another really good performance. I thought this was a good performance by both guys. One of those fights where it was a shame that somebody had to lose. It could have gone either way. It was a kickboxing match. He showed amazing technique, in my opinion. I think Brad Katona is still a very, very good fighter. He's taking on Jesse Butler, who I don't know what to think of Jesse Butler yet. Because he's an aggressive striker. He has grappling behind it, and he can fight at a high pace, and he uses pressure as a tool. Here's the problem. He's fought a bunch of cans, and then broke into the UFC, and fought Jim Miller, and got finished right away, okay? The fight was like, what, 20 seconds? Maybe 15? Something like that? I don't know where Jesse Butler fits into this UFC division yet, but from the technique that's shown outside of the UFC, he seems to have promise, but I can't go off of that. How many times have we seen guys break into the UFC, fight a guy like Brad Katona, and just look horrible? You can argue that he came into the UFC, fought Jim Miller, and lost, and that Jim Miller loss isn't exactly aging all that well. I have to go with Brad Katona here. I have to. But even then, I know that Jesse Butler is a pretty good striker. He's going to have a huge reach advantage, a huge reach and height advantage. That's kind of stopping me. Like, when you have a striker that's looked pretty good and can use the range that way, Brad Katona's going to have trouble hitting him, I think. But hey, you know what? Maybe you just not cut out for the UFC. I don't know. I need to see more from Jesse Butler. Very close fight again. Certainly not one to bet on, but I will be picking Brad Katona because I know what I'm getting with Brad Katona. I don't know what I'm getting with Jesse Butler yet. I want to take a look at the odds. Hey, I wonder what the odds are going to be. By the way, I haven't looked at them. Before this. Oh my God. Okay, what am I not seeing here? Brad Katona is a minus 500 favorite. 571 at most. That's crazy. I think that's crazy. Like, Brad Katona's a great fighter. Don't get me wrong. But we just don't know what to expect with Jesse Butler yet. Is everybody really that checked out from him? I don't think that's right, dude. I don't think that's right. I think this is a very close fight. Interesting. That might be worth playing just for the sake of playing it. But guys, let's continue on to another fight that is, again, a fantastic fight. We have Cody Stamann versus Taylor Lapilus. This is a great matchup, dude. This is a great matchup. You have Cody Stamann, who has had trouble as of recently putting it together. He has a pretty well-rounded skill set, but he is primarily a wrestler. I wouldn't say he necessarily shines anywhere, but he's a good fighter. He's a good, well-rounded fighter who has a little bit better wrestling. That's how I kind of would describe Cody Stamann. And Cody Stamann rarely gets dominated, okay? Even in his losses. And he has taken on such tough guys in the bantamweight division, and he's held his own, okay? He hasn't always had success, but this guy is a very, very underrated fighter, okay? Coming off of a really rough loss against Douglas Silva de Andrade, but still, I don't mean like really rough loss. Like, it's unfortunate that a guy like Cody Stamann has been put through the ringer, and he's being put through the ringer again with Taylor Lapilus over here. Taylor Lapilus, coming off of his first loss as of recent, he's a technical striker who is both accurate and powerful. When he gets taken down, something that I love about him. This is what I love about some of these strikers, okay? Because obviously, strikers like Taylor Lapilus sometimes can have holes in their game. I love when he gets taken down, he never accepts bottom position. He may not always be able to get up, but he will always work. He will never accept bottom position. I love that, and he wants to get back up to the feet, and he wants to strike your face off. He's coming off of his first loss against Farid Basharat. I understand people are kind of off of the Basharat train. I get it, okay? I get it. But I still think that this was a good showing. I don't think that aged poorly at all, excuse me. Basharat was just able to implement his game, but he didn't get dominated in this fight. He just lost the fight, and he still looked good. I'm still high on Taylor Lapilus myself. I love this fight. Other than that, Taylor Lapilus has been looking really, really good as of lately. It's really tough, though, because you have Cody Stamann, who has fought the best of the best in the division. He's looked good, but he doesn't always get it done. This is one of those fights where reach advantage is going to matter. Both are 5... That's crazy, dude. Both are 5'6", and one has a 64.5 reach, another 73.0 reach. That's crazy to me. I got to lean towards Taylor Lapilus in this fight because, first of all, the reach advantage. He will use his reach pretty well. He is a very, very technical striker, powerful striker. Cody Stamann's tough enough to last with Taylor Lapilus. I would consider maybe seeing what the lines are for a 1.5 round line on this one. Cody Stamann can explore the wrestling option, but even then, if he does... Will Taylor Lapilus accept bottom position? I don't think so. And I would imagine he might be able to get up to his feet. It is throwing him to the wolves, though, against Cody Stamann, because Cody Stamann's a great fighter. What a good card, man. What a good card. I hope you guys are enjoying this video, because honestly, I know that I'm being very, very wishy-washy on this card. It's important to note, like, man, if anybody is sitting here and telling you that they're confident in these fights, I think you're crazy, man. Comment down below if there's literally any fights that you're confident in. I don't even know. I don't even know if there's going to be one on this card. It's just going to be a fun fight, guys. You come over here for some solid reads, in my opinion, and to have a fight fan gush over these fights. But I will be picking Taylor Lapilus, a very low confident pick, but I will be picking him to win. Something that I forgot to note is Cody Stamann is pushing 35 in the bantamweight division now, so I think that's something to note. Let's take a look over at the betting side of things. Again, Taylor Lapilus, slight favorite. Understandably so. I think those odds are proper. I don't know if I don't think, what the hell am I going to bet on this weekend, guys? Holy. Now, guys, let's move on to the first stinker in a little while. We have Puja Tomar taking on Rayanne Amanda. I don't love this fight. There's not a lot to break down in this fight. There's not a ton to know about these fighters because you have Puja Tomar, who is an aggressive striker with submission skills. She actually finishes opponents, but she hasn't fought anybody in the UFC. Look at the girls that she's beating. Look at the records of these fighters that she's beating. 6-8, 2-1. 0-0, like, and you're going to a split decision with them. Honestly, she is very, very aggressive. She can finish fights, okay? But she is taking on Rayanne Amanda, who we saw in the Contender Series a little while ago. She lost to Denise Gomez, but I don't think that's necessarily a loss to really ride home about. Like, I mean, like, that's nothing to be ashamed about, excuse me. She didn't win the Contender Series, got 3 wins after that against absolute cans, of course, and then she got a shot in the UFC against Talita Alencar and lost a split decision. Like, okay, Alencar isn't good. That's a little bit of an issue. But other than that, Rayanne Amanda, she is a Muay Thai fighter. She can show pretty good fight IQ for the division, but sometimes she also surprises opponents with takedowns. Sneaky takedowns they can be. I don't know who's going to win this fight. Both of them are not UFC caliber, in my opinion, unless they come in and prove otherwise, but that's, maybe they do fit in this division, dude. The bottom of the strawweight division. I don't know. I don't know what to pick here. I'm going to go with Rayanne Amanda. At least we've seen her against better competition, but even then, she loses half of her fights. Same with Puja Tomar, though. But Puja Tomar, like, she hasn't fought anybody. She's coming to the UFC. We don't know. I don't know. Tough fight. I don't care who wins this fight. I'm going to pick Rayanne Amanda. I don't take that one with any sort of confidence. Let's take a look at the betting side of things. Rayanne Amanda sitting at a sizable favorite. I guess that's understandable, but let's just get into the next card. Let's keep going up the card, though, to the next fight. That is Eduarda Moura taking on Denise Gomez. Denise Gomez, a girl that we were just talking about. Looks like Gilbert Burns, in my opinion. But anyways, we have Eduarda Ronda Moura. I forgot that her nickname was Ronda, man. Like, that's really, really strange to me. Anyways, she's a grappler, great ground and pound, and she is, for the division, a decently well-rounded skill set. She is 10-0, looking really, really good. We saw her in the Contender Series, and then she got a very, very dominant win in her UFC debut. Got an easy 10-8 round finish, but to be honest with you, Ruiz offered no resistance. No resistance. So I don't take this fight and I think, oh my god, this girl's something to really pay attention to, because it's like she fought like a 2-year-old, honestly. Like, there was zero resistance to her opponent. Denise Gomez, though, has very, very promise for the division. Very young, 24 years old. She's a well-rounded fighter with a very aggressive striking base, and she does have good grappling and conditioning behind it. Shockingly to a lot of people in the space, she has had a couple hiccups coming to the UFC. She lost to Loma Luke Boom, and then, of course, got a win over Bruna Brazil and Yasmin Yorogui, which both of these look good in my opinion. I know people think that Bruna Brazil is extremely overhyped and horrible. I think she's a little bit overhyped, but I don't think she's horrible. I think she's okay for the division. But then she ended up losing to Angela Hill. Sometimes Angela Hill wins, sometimes Angela Hill loses, man. It doesn't make sense. She's 15-13. How can you lose to Angela Hill? I don't get it, dude. I don't get it. She's 24 years old. She's improving. I like the experience that she's shown so far. She's taken on pretty good opponents. I need to see a little bit more from Eduarda Moura, to be honest with you. She definitely has promise. She can take Denise Gomez down. She can beat her up. It's very possible. Very, very possible. I'm not saying I'm confident in Denise Gomez at all, but I will be picking Denise Gomez to win this fight. She can get ragdolled, though. Let's see what the betting side of things say over here. Let's see what... And we have another fairly close fight over here. What a good card, dude. What a good card. You have Eduarda Moura sitting at a small favorite for Denise Gomez. I'm not complaining about that. Again, it's a very, very tough fight. Before we get into the main card, though, guys, I do want to stop you for a second. If you don't want to hear me yap, just skip about 30 seconds. So I talk a lot about betting on this channel. If you are interested in seeing what I am betting on or just supporting the channel in general, check out the channel membership, which is very cheap compared to other channels. Every single Thursday or Friday before the event, I will be posting a members only video and a members only community post showcasing my bets every single weekend. I try to be as safe as possible, and I go through my confidence levels, why I'm placing these bets. I explain it all. So if you're interested again in either seeing my bets or supporting the channel, please consider checking out the channel membership. It is in the subscribe button or the pin next to the subscribe button, or the pinned comment down below or the description. Also, the tool that I have been using over here, OddsJam, you can get a discount at OddsJam if you like to use my link in the description and pinned comment down below. It is a fantastic tool. It has all the things in the world if you're a sports bettor, especially if multiple sports books, has lines very quickly. Like, I'm recording this video. You're seeing it on a Saturday, assuming you clicked on it the same day. I'm recording it on a, what day is today? Wednesday. Or Thursday. What day is it? Regardless, I'm recording it earlier in the week. It doesn't really matter. Thursday. I don't know why I had a little bit of a pause there, but it's a fantastic tool. So if you want a discount when you sign up for OddsJam, use my link and code Clenbat. Thank you very much for listening, guys. Let's get into the main card. Starting off with the first fight, opening up the main card, we have the return of Raul Rosas Jr. taking on Ricky Turquoise. Very interesting fight. I'm very interested to see where Raul Rosas Jr. goes in his career because, of course, he's 19 years old. He came into the UFC at 18 years old. You don't see that often. He already has 9 fights under his belt, and he ran into a little bit of a hiccup. It was a big hiccup against Christian Rodriguez, but then he bounced back with a really nice win, man, against Terrence Mitchell, but he came in swinging and found a huge TKO, which was very strange. I don't know what to think about it. He is just a jiu-jitsu fighter, and he has shown very little besides that, but Raul Rosas Jr., the UFC is really trying to hype up. I like watching him fight too, man. I'm kind of on the Raul Rosas Jr. train, but he's taking on Ricky Turquoise, who is a versatile fighter who doesn't necessarily really shine anywhere, but he's pretty good. He can weaponize his pace when he does. Sometimes he can be tough to deal with, but Pretty Ricky hasn't been able to put it all together. He's been, unfortunately, back and forth with his wins, with his losses. They haven't exactly looked all good. He hasn't been able to put it all together, and honestly, guys, even if you were to break down the technique for both guys, I would say Raul Rosas Jr. has the BJJ advantage, but I don't know who's going to have the advantage on the feet. I don't think I've seen enough from Raul Rosas Jr. on the feet, to be honest with you. We have the Christian Rodriguez fight, which was a horrible, horrible performance, but other than that, like, we haven't seen enough. He has used his grappling to really, really get the win over guys. And the way that I'm looking at this is, Raul Rosas Jr., the UFC is pushing to be a huge star, and they must see something in him beating Ricky Turquoise, and I do see that as well. I think that Ricky Turquoise, again, he hasn't been able to put it together. I know he's 31 years old in his prime. He has shined in certain moments, but I think that the UFC wants Raul Rosas Jr. to win. If you're going to go to a scorecard, they're going to give it to Raul Rosas Jr. That's why I'm going to be picking Raul Rosas Jr. win this fight. The UFC wants him to win. To be honest with you, I want him to win too, but still, doesn't make it right. I'm going to pick Raul Rosas Jr. to get the win here. I don't know if he's going to be able to submit Ricky, but I think he's going to be able to come out and control, and we know that he definitely wants to prove a point. So, again, I'm going to be picking him. You can see, we finally have, besides Brad Katona, a big favorite. Raul Rosas Jr. sitting at a minus 240 to minus, even at some points, over 300 favorite. Makes sense to me. I don't think that's confident enough to hit, in my opinion, but hey, you know what? At least we have a decent fight to predict over here. Let's keep going up the card, guys, though. The next fight that we have over here is Punahel Soriano taking on Miguel Beza. Now, this is a must-win fight for both guys because you have Soriano, who is 9-4, 1-4 in his last 5, and you have Miguel Beza, who is lost 3 in a row. You have Soriano, who is a very powerful striker, wants to come forward, wants to finish you, decent takedown defense to back it up, and you have Miguel, who is a well-rounded fighter who prefers to stand. He is decently aggressive in his approach, but there's nothing too crazy about that, if that makes sense, okay? Of course, like I said, both guys are in a rough point in their careers. Lost to Santiago Ponzinibbio, Chaos Williams, and Andre Fialho. Big layoff after that. And I gotta say, maybe Chaos Williams aged okay, but the Ponzinibbio loss, Andre Fialho loss, neither of these have unfortunately aged well. But you have Punahel Soriano, who hasn't looked all that great either, but I will say, Brendan Allen, good loss to have. Nick Maximov, split decision loss. You have Dalcha Ludenbilka, and I apologize, I usually pronounce that name wrong. Got a win over there, got a nice KO. Again, Soriano is a powerful striker. He can win any fight, but then he ended up losing to Roman Kopylov and Dustin Stoltzfus. There's a big difference in opponents here. Big difference. And Soriano has looked good in some of these bouts. The Dustin Stoltzfus fight, for example. Honestly, his last fight, just 5 months ago, it was a decent back-and-forth kickboxing match until Stoltzfus ended up founding a rear naked on the ground. I like Soriano in this matchup, more so because we know that he's taken on the better opponents, and he's looked good in some of these fights. Like, he has been put through murderer's row. Brendan Allen, I thought was going to become champion. Roman Kopylov is one of the most underrated fighters you will ever see. And Dustin Stoltzfus is a good fighter in himself. Miguel Beza hasn't been in the octagon in over 2 years. He's 31 years old now, still in his prime. That's okay, but he's got to come in and make some insane improvements because his last losses were to Andre Fialho, Chaos Williams, and Santiago Ponzinibbio. There's a big difference in competition there. I like the experience of Soriano. I like the killer instinct of Soriano. I'm going to pick Soriano to win, but can you really trust a guy who's 9-4, 1 win in his last 5? Anything can happen over here, but I think logically, everybody should be picking Soriano in this one, and it's one of those fights, guys. I'm not really cheering for either fighter because it is a must-win for both guys, and it will suck to see one of them lose their career because you could get cut after this. Odds again. Taking a look at Odds Jam. Very even fight. I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest with you, that Soriano is the underdog over here. I thought, if anything, he'd be the favorite. I thought it was going to be closer to a pick'em, but man, this card is good, dude. Guys, honestly, I'm going to be completely honest with you. If you're thinking about signing up to the membership to see me bet this time around, this is the card that you don't want to bet on. Wait a week. I just want to be honest with you guys, okay? I want to be honest with you because even if we do end up placing bets this time around, boy, the upsets can happen. Let's keep going up the card, though, guys. The next fight we have is Bruno Ferreira taking on Dustin Stoltzfus. We were just talking about Dustin Stoltzfus. Dustin Stoltzfus is a pretty good fighter. He's a grappler with pretty good transitions, pretty good control, and he showcases that in a lot of his wins. He has some striking to back it up. Bruno Ferreira is a powerful striker. The Hulk is the perfect nickname for him. He moves quickly and will attack every single part of your body. I love that when strikers don't just headhunt. I love when they have combinations of the body. Sometimes, though, the only problem with Bruno Ferreira is sometimes he takes too long to throw his shots. Maybe sometimes he can counter-strike. Sometimes he can be just a little low volume. I don't really know why sometimes we see him kind of struggle. Maybe he just doesn't find his openings. But other than that, he has some BJJ in his back pocket. He has promise in the division, but the problem is I don't know where he fits yet, okay? Because he came into the UFC, right? He came to the UFC, looked great against Gregory Rodriguez, and that was a shocking KO. But then he fought Nurulson Ruziboev, where he got knocked out super quickly, and then he bounced back with an okay win against Phil Hawes. Nothing really happened to the fight until Hawes ended up getting caught, but we have Dustin Stoltzfus we've seen for a long time now. He's taken on some great fighters. He's won some. He's lost some. I think we kind of know where he fits in the division. Honestly, with Gerald Meerschaert, I think that he kind of belongs at the level that Gerald Meerschaert's at personally. He's a good fighter. Doesn't exactly, I don't think he'll ever be a top contender or anything like that, but he's a good fighter. He's a good test. Bruno Ferreira, though, I don't know where he fits, man, because he's looked so good, but the Ruziboev loss is really turning me off a little bit. And even against Phil Hawes, man, and I think Phil Hawes is a good fighter, but nothing really happened in that fight. And this is what I was talking about, where he could be particularly low volume. I need to see a little bit more for Bruno Ferreira to be confident in him, but I will pick him to win this fight. I like that he's in his prime right now. I like that he's super powerful, by the way. Dustin Stoltzfus, we kind of know what we're getting with him. Bruno Ferreira definitely has that potential, okay? I think that the potential for KOs there. I think he'll have the better striking. And I think that, honestly, like, he has the BJJ in his back pocket. Even if Dustin Stoltzfus takes him down, I think Bruno Ferreira might be able to hang with him. I'm interested to see what the odds are in this one, but I will be picking Bruno Ferreira to win this fight. I'll be picking him. Again, a little bit of a low confidence pick over there, but anyways, let's take a look over the betting side of things. And we have Bruno Ferreira, who is a decent favorite. I'm not upset about that. I kind of get that. I think it should be a little bit less, maybe just minus 200. Maybe that's all. But hey, you know what? I'm not a bookmaker. Let's keep going over to another fight on the card. We have Julian Marquez taking on Zach Reese. Another fantastic matchup. Another great matchup in the UFC. Julian Marquez, Zach Reese are kind of at must-win points in their career. Not necessarily Zach Reese, because I know he's just taken one loss in the UFC, but boy, talk about hype train killed. He looked so good. He looked so good coming to the UFC, and that's the problem with these Dana White Contender Series guys, right? He's a powerful striker with effective grappling, and honestly, he has decent pressure. He uses heavy hands along with his kicks pretty well. He's a decently complete fighter. He has submissions too. He does a good job in the clinch. He seems to be a very, very good fighter, and he showcased that outside of the UFC. Contender Series, got a nice armbar win. Although, he did get knocked down in that fight, found the armbar. Hey, it shows, you know what, we can overcome some adversity. But then, you lost to Cody Brundage. I know it's a meme to hate on Cody Brundage and talk about what a bad fighter he is, but you shouldn't be losing to Cody Brundage, dude. He caught Cody Brundage in a submission and got slammed. Ruined everybody's parlays. Everybody's. You have Julian Marquez on the other hand, who is also a very powerful striker, but he has lots of forward pressure. He does a good job of dragging you into a war and honestly using his toughness to get the win. The Cuban Missile Crisis is actually a good nickname for him. Long, but good nickname for him. He is coming off of two really, really rough losses to both Marc-Andre Barriol and Gregory Rodriguez. And I will say that these losses make sense for Julian Marquez because of the way that he fights. You don't really want to fight Marc-Andre Barriol and Gregory Rodriguez. They can match Julian Marquez in that fight because I think that Julian Marquez is a very big, tough guy. He has shown that he can beat a lot of guys in the division, but there is that step up that he's just not ready for, in my opinion. So this is a tough fight to break down. Very tough fight. I feel like they're going to get in there, okay? I feel like they're going to get in there, and Julian Marquez is just going to be able to outmuscle Zach Reese. I have a hard time believing Zach Reese will be able to catch Julian Marquez in a submission. When they start banging, Zach Reese definitely has good striking, but is it enough to be able to hang with Julian Marquez? Because like in the Aronov fight, Zach Reese got knocked down before he got the submission. And we've seen Zach Reese is able to get hit. I haven't seen enough from Zach Reese yet. I'm completely off the train, but I'm also off the Julian Marquez train as well. Another really tough fight to pick. Whoever was the matchmaker for this card, banger. Banger, dude. I cannot wait to watch this fight card. Every single fight on this card is so close and so important for the division. Julian Marquez, 34 years old, taking a lot of damage. He's been finished so bad against Gregory Rodriguez, finished against Marc-Andre Barriol too. These were wars he was put through. His chin's going to go soon. Is Zach Reese going to be the guy to crack it? I think this should be a pick'em fight completely. I think this should be a pick'em fight. My gut's telling me to pick Julian Marquez. I think he's just going to be more imposing in there. I think he's going to be able to outstrength Zach Reese, and I think he's going to be able to drag him into a war, and I don't know if Zach Reese is going to be able to take it. If he can knock out Julian Marquez. He can find a finish. But I just don't see him, man. My gut's kind of leaning towards Julian Marquez in this one, but it is not a confident pick whatsoever. Let's take a look at what the... There we go. There we go. Fight's a pick'em. Wow. Wow. Oh my God. Again, guys, if you're watching any other YouTuber and they're confident in these fights, they are lying to you. They are straight up lying to you and they don't know what they're talking about, okay? What a good fight, man. Zachary Reese, very, very slight underdog. It's a pick'em fight. Great, great card, dude. Let's keep going up the card, though. I'm excited and I'm sad for this fight. We have Dominic Reyes. The return of Dominic Reyes, finally, versus Dustin Jacoby. The reason that I'm sad about this and excited about this is because I'm a big fan of Dominic Reyes, but I worry for his health legitimately. Legitimately. I don't know if Dominic Reyes should be in there. You have Dominic Reyes, who is a decently well-rounded fighter with great striking, movement, and power. He's very athletic for the division, but unfortunately, seems like he lost a step. His chin seems to be no more, unfortunately, and he's taking on Dustin Jacoby, who can crack that chin. He's a great kickboxer with good takedown defense, and he likes to keep it on the feet, man. He wants to take your head off. If this was a prime Dominic Reyes, I'd be picking him all day. It's sad Dominic Reyes, I know he's been put through the ringer, like John Jones, Jan Blachowicz, Yuri Prochazka, Ryan Spann, but he's been finished. He's been finished. He's been through wars. His health isn't all there. I don't remember exactly what's going on with his head, but he had problems with his brain. How can I pick somebody like that? How can I pick somebody like that? And I honestly think that Dominic Reyes is the better fighter. I do. But he's 34 years old, going on 35 years old. He's been doing nothing but losing. I don't know how his training's been going. I don't know how his health is. I don't know how his chin is. I don't even care that Dustin Jacoby's 19-8. Like, he has fought some really, really good guys, okay? He's won some. He's lost some. He's fought some really, really great fighters, and we know what we're getting with Dustin Jacoby. He's a good kickboxer who can beat anybody on any given day, but doesn't always put it together. I can't pick Dominic Reyes. I can't. He's a better fighter. I can't trust his chin. I can't trust his mental game. Is he going to go there and be gun shy because he's worried about getting knocked out? He keeps getting floored and beat up worse and worse after that Jan Blachowicz loss. Yuri Prochazka seemed to completely take it out of him. Then Ryan Spann, it was just sad. And I feel like I'm going to be sad again. Dustin Jacoby's probably going to knock him out, dude. It's going to break my heart, man. Because, again, I'm a fan of Dominic Reyes, and I want him to win. I like when Dominic Reyes is doing well in the division. It makes me sad, especially because he should have gone down as champion. He beat John Jones. He beat the greatest fighter of all time. He was robbed of that. Makes me sad. So I'm going to pick Dustin Jacoby, but I obviously hope Dominic Reyes comes in and gets the win, but I have a feeling my heart's going to be broken. I cannot believe what I'm seeing for these odds right now. I can't believe it. Dustin Jacoby's a minus, what, at most? 225 favorite? That's crazy. Minus 230? I think that's crazy. How could these odds be putting Dominic Reyes at that little of an underdog? How can you trust his chin? That's something to consider hitting, but I hate betting on guys that I'm cheering for, or betting against guys that I'm cheering for. I hope Dominic Reyes comes in and gets the win, man. I hope he proves me wrong, but I can't trust his chin. Guys, let's move on to the main event, though. The main event is Jared Cannonier versus Nassourdine Imavov. Very, very interesting fight in the middleweight division. I'm interested because I don't know what to think about Jared Cannonier. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I think Jared Cannonier is on the sauce. I do. There is no way after that I just almost knocked over my mouse. There's no way after that Marvin Vettori performance 10 months ago at almost 40 years old, Jared Cannonier could have looked that good. It's like impossible. It was a solid performance. The cardio was fantastic. He was picking shots with huge power the entire time. Anybody but Marvin would have went down. He looked too good. And I think he's on the sauce. I think he is. That's the only explanation for me. A guy his age looking that good? I don't believe it, man. Anyways, other than that, Jared Cannonier is a very, very powerful striker. It's pretty much all he's known for. And Nassourdine Imavov is a precise striker with very nice movement. He has a strong clinch and a great ground game as well. He is a very, very complete fighter, Nassourdine Imavov. The Russian Sniper is a very good nickname for him. Honestly, Killer Gorilla is pretty good for Jared Cannonier too. Tough fight to pick because I lost money on Jared Cannonier last time around. I'm so quick to pick against 40-year-olds. Especially in the, I don't want to say low division because this is still the middleweight division, but still. Nassourdine Imavov should win this fight, but Jared Cannonier looked way too good in his last fight. Nassourdine Imavov should have all of the options. He should be patient. He should be able to outstrike Jared Cannonier. But Jared Cannonier, and this is something that I don't see people talking about Jared Cannonier a lot. He misses so much, but it kind of gets overshadowed with his power because when he hits you, it's like, whoa, Jared Cannonier just caught him. But half those shots are like out there, missing, not long enough, you know? I don't know. I think Nassourdine Imavov is a better striker. I think he has the options for the clinch. I think he'll be able to out-wrestle him. He should be able to counter-strike him. He should have the strength in the clinch. I don't know, man. I'm leaning towards Nassourdine Imavov. My brain's telling me Nassourdine Imavov should win this fight, but it's also telling me, like, don't count out Jared Cannonier again. Because, again, he looked too good in his last fight. He looked too good. And before that, he fought Sean Strickland. He absolutely lost his fight 100%. I wholeheartedly believe that he lost his fight. And then he lost to Israel Adesanya, of course. There was a huge jump up between these two performances and the way that he looked against Marvin Vettori. And that's why I'm talking about I think he's on something. I do. I can see an upset. I just can. I'm picking Nassourdine Imavov. That's it. I'm picking Nassourdine Imavov. Jared Cannonier's 40. He misses too many shots, and over 5 rounds, maybe that was a one-off. I don't know. I can just see an upset coming for this one, man. But for who I hope wins, I don't know. Like, I like Jared Cannonier, but it's probably better for the division than Nassourdine Imavov to win. I'll cheer for Jared Cannonier a little bit. Let's take a look at the odds, okay? Again, Look at this, man. Have you ever seen it? At least this year, this is the toughest card to predict. This is one of the toughest fight cards I have ever had to predict when making this channel. And I've been doing this for a couple years now. Out of every single card, this is the toughest card to bet on. And the odds reflect that. It is such a good matchup. Whoever was the matchmaker needs to do this for every card. Honestly. I cannot wait for these fights. All of these predictions are going to be, like, they're pick'em fights. Almost every single fight on here is a pick'em fight. That's why it's such a great card. I cannot wait for it, guys. If you think I'm wrong, if you're confident in any other fights, let me know in the comments, because I would really, really love to know. I know this wasn't the breakdown you might have been looking for, because usually I have much more of an opinion. For example, last card, I was pretty sure on quite a bit of fights. How am I going to make the betting guide video with confident picks? There's like nobody I'm confident in. Oh, man. Good card. I can't wait for it. Enjoy this beautiful violence, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Check it out, this video on screen right now. If you want to keep watching the channel, check out this tier list video we made if you want to keep watching the channel. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I will see you over there. Take care.